Hey everyone, I just watched the documentary The Nightmare and I was compelled to make this video about it. And there had been a bit of a discussion about it on my group, Conscious Explorers, and a lot of people were really unhappy about it because it shows just one side to sleep paralysis. So, spoiler alert here if you haven't seen it. But there are like 7 people, and they all are talking about their experiences. Now, I also suffer from sleep paralysis for about 30 years of my life. And one of the things that struck me was how similar our experiences were. They talk about these shadow uh, figures and these sort of demons, and I have seen them too. They're quite specific looking, which makes me think that they're not just in my head. I never knew. I never knew whether it was my imagination making this up, extremely vivid and completely realistic, or whether it was because of the state that I was in that I was attracting these beings to my life. So, I noticed that some of the people talking about their sort of life situations being very difficult. There's a lady in it who is in an abusive relationship. Um, Someone else who's depressed. And when I really suffered from it a lot, I suffered from extreme bipolar depression. So there were times when I was in a very very low negative state. So these experiences would happen. The sleep paralysis. I would meet these beings. I would have fights with them to get in my body. I mean, it was utterly terrifying. There's also one point where one of the guys in the documentary talks about this blue tall being, which I've also seen. So I think that's interesting because I had never read anything about that when I had these experiences. They were just something completely new. The blue beings I've seen a number of times and always seen as a positive thing, and he's talking about the same thing. So this makes me think that it is more than um, just a hallucination, in the sense that anything is perhaps more than a hallucination. Some would say that this whole reality is a dream, and within that dream we're having some shared experiences. So, but that's sort of another conversation. Um, for the purposes of this conversation, it does seem to be like a phenomena that's outside of my head. So that could be even more scary. However, what this documentary totally misses out on is, well, actually, to be fair, it touches upon it. One of the guys at the end says that the beings prey on fear, and that's absolutely right. The more that you see them, the more frightened that you get, and the more that it seems to perpetuate the whole problem. They just draw to you. And it's so simple to solve. When I was around 30 and I discovered lucid dreaming, and I discovered that the Buddhists use lucid dreaming, it's sort of turned my whole view on all these kind of sleep phenomena, from something that I thought was so bad and negative to something beautiful and incredible. And slowly I started to drop the fear, which I know is easier said than done. It's a very frightening experience, and how do you turn that around? I think one thing to note if you watch the documentary is that nothing actually happens to these people. Like, they have these terrifying experiences and it's horrible, but they survive. They're still here to tell the tale. Actually nothing really has happened. They've just been traumatized by them, which is not to underestimate how awful that is, and how their lives have, well, it's been incredibly difficult for them. But really, the beings aren't able to do anything other than terrify you. So in that way, they have really very, very little power. At one point, a lady talks about how she used the name of Jesus to stop. After years and years and years and years of these experiences, she just simply uses the name Jesus, and the beings no longer visit her. So that makes me think that Jesus is a powerful word almost. I mean, that's my personal belief on it. She became religious afterwards, and I'm not saying anything about the existence or non-existence of Jesus. I don't know, but in our society, I know that Jesus is a powerful symbol and has a power. The word has a power behind it, and something as simple as that is able to stop those experiences. So I just think that this is a beautiful analogy to life. Like fear can completely paralyze us. Literally, that's what sleep paralysis is. Um, and actually, all we need to do is to move beyond it to experience the most incredible experiences, which is what happened to me. Like once I started to learn that sleep paralysis was nothing to fear, it turned it around, and I started having the most extraordinarily beautiful experiences. I mean, out of this world. The guy at the end, he talks about he has an out of body experience, and he hates it. It's just the most horrible thing, and I can totally relate to that. But I want to find him and tell him, just move a little further, get out your window, and then you have these experiences of these beautiful astral worlds that there really are no words for how amazing these experiences are. They're high definition. You're free, you're flying. They're not just like a dream. They're like they feel so real. They're so magical. So much love and bliss, and there are no words for it. So what lies beyond the fear is freedom, and I just think that's a fantastic analogy for life. Yeah, there's other things that they don't really talk about in the documentary. Why we have sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is not a disease. I don't think so. Anyway, I mean, I think it's just a function to stop you from acting out your dreams. I think that everyone has it. What happens to some people is that they wake up. Well, that's not exactly right, but their brain shifts into a more awake, conscious state, and so that they're aware of what's happening in the body. Other things that are happening is that you get all these noises and visual sensations, which I believe is the brain is hearing the sensory noise around it and outside it, and because it's in this sort of dreamy state, it's misinterpreting it into hallucinations. And you could say the same with these beings. Like maybe that is what is happening. I still don't know for sure. I mean, I was a little bit like, whoa, okay, these guys have experienced the same thing. Like that makes me feel like it's something more than hallucination. But who knows? I've ingested plants with other people. With our eyes closed, we've experienced similar hallucinations, which means, maybe the brain reacts to certain things in certain ways and creates the same output from that. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is, but I do know that all you need to do is not be frightened. That's all you need to do. And there are techniques that I recommend to people. Being grateful is one. It's one that I just sort of learned intuitively when I used to have them. I just started listing things that I was grateful for. When these beings would come, and I just go over and over, I'm grateful, thank you for this, thank you for that thing. That totally changes the energy of things. It's incredibly powerful. Another one was to think about sex. You can turn sleep paralysis into the most blissful, bodily, orgasmic feeling. Like it's amazing. Trying to change the breathing patterns will break the sleep paralysis. But now if I get sleep paralysis, I'm so happy. I just want it to last, so I could really use it. I play with the energy in my body. I move it around. It just is bliss, and then I try to get out so that I can go and have incredible experiences. So I hope this video gets to some people who have watched it, and I hope it doesn't scare them more with this idea that these beings might be something real. But the universe is vast, and there's so much out there that we don't know, we don't understand. But the message of this video is don't be afraid. There's really, really, really nothing to fear but fear itself. And this inspires me for the rest of my life, and what other areas I'm being paralyzed in because of fear. And I'm going to hold on to this analogy. So I hope that helps you, and wishing you all a lovely day. Much love.